Good afternoon, Nevis. Good afternoon, St. Kitts. Good afternoon to St. Kitts and Nevis, one federation, of course. And indeed, let me go back local and say good afternoon to the good people over there in St. James. And we know that St. James stretched from all the way down there at the bottom of Zion Hill, which is called New River, and also goes all the way up to Fountain, down into Jones Estate, and all those areas within that confine. From the ocean all the way up to the base of the mountain. That is St. James for you, a large landmass and a beautiful place to live and a beautiful place to be. It's always good to come here to Von Radio on a Friday afternoon, and of course this is on point for today, the 13th day of September 2023. I have been coming here for some time and I'll keep coming, but let me apologize at this point in time for my absence last week, Friday. There are circumstances that do come up from time to time, and I'll have to miss the program. Indeed, every broadcast was done, but what I'll do, I'll seek to get someone, quote unquote, who I would call a sidekick, who would come here from time to time and handle the program if I'm unable to come. But it is always my pleasure to come here. I'm committed to coming, and indeed I am here today. So let me shout up all of the other listeners and viewers that would have joined us for this program this afternoon. Of course, we have persons down in Statia or St. Eustatius. We have persons down in Saba, in the St. Martin, the French and Dutch St. Martin, that is, also in the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. I understand we have persons in Puerto Rico as well who would follow us, because we do have nationals who live there. And indeed up in the United States, from the eastern seaboard all the way over to the west. And indeed we have different time zones that go through the United States. So in the eastern part of the United States now, there Atlantic time, Eastern Standard Time, then you have Central Time, Mountain Time, and then Pacific Standard Time. So there are different times, different hours of the day. And I want to bid you welcome. And indeed, whatever you're doing, certainly be safe about it and have fun. Up in Canada as well, we have different time zones stretching from the east all over to the west, all the way over to the west, that is. And indeed, I want to welcome everyone who is listening there in North America. And then we go up to Europe, where we have persons in England, persons in France, Germany. We have nationals throughout Europe, of course. It might be a handful, it might be a large amount of persons in different areas. And indeed in Asia we do have persons who are there, students of course, and other nationals who are there. So I welcome one and all, because you know these days with technology we go far and wide, and Von Radio, of course, being the Caribbean's only powerhouse, is emanating throughout the globe. Wherever you are, you certainly can access Von Radio, especially through YouTube and Facebook and that type of thing. So that being said, I want to, at least at this point in the program, express my condolences to all those grieving families out there. This is where we get into housekeeping matters, of course, and it is always that somber part of the program where we connect with those who are grieving at this time. And so I want to, over in the St. James area, express my profound sympathies to the family of Marian Cynthia Bailey. Well, we normally call her Miss Abbott. Those of you who are familiar with that family over there in Newcastle, right there beyond the, well, I say beyond the Newcastle airport, but it's in that environ, in that same area. Well, I would name a few family members who persons can connect with, but from what I know of Miss Abbott, I don't think she was born and raised in Newcastle. I believe she was born and raised in the Government Road area, and then came to Newcastle, built a family there, and of course she would have lived to a ripe old age of, I believe, 90 or just beyond 90 thereabout. but she was a member of the Anglican church that I attend. That is the St. James Anglican Church. On a given Sunday, she's sitting, well, as we always do. It seems as though we hug up a particular pew in church, a particular seat, so when you look around, you expect to see Tom in that seat. You look around to see, Jane or whomever in a particular seat. Well, I have my own seat there too. So she had her area where she would sit, and when you look across, you'll see Miss Abbott on a given Sunday. Of course, over the last couple of months, she would have been away from church, but her heart, I'm sure, was definitely with the St. James Anglican Church. And I want to wish all of the grieving family members, for example, we know of Margaret Bailey, that is, works up there at the Newcastle Airport or the Van Summer International Airport. Of course, there are other family members who live down in Anguilla, such as Bernard and Jacqueline. Reese. We know Reese Bailey. He's a young chap up there in Newcastle. Shirley Elverine, or Nurse Elverine, I must say. And Nayoka. Nayoka is a granddaughter. So all those family members, we are familiar with them, and I want to express my sympathies to all of you on the passing of your mom, your grandmother, great-grandmother as well. And indeed, I understand that the funeral is tomorrow morning. Starts at 9:30 with the viewing, and then, of course, at 10:30 the service starts. So those of us from the Newcastle community, the St. James community, who are, grieving and who would want to go out and show their support, please do so tomorrow at the Combermere Methodist Church. That is where the service will be held. And indeed, the more the merrier. And of course, all of us are expected to lift up grieving families, because all of us will go through these particular periods in our lifetime. So we'll all have to ensure that we're providing that support, because when that time comes for us, we expect that support to be reciprocated. So all of us can go out and pay all last respects tomorrow. Of course, there's another church member of mine, of ours, Estella Gwenny Stapleton. She passed away just about 2 Sundays ago, or 2 Saturdays ago. Her funeral service, of course, will be announced sometime later, but I want to express my sympathies to her children, 2 that I know very well. The others are in England, of course, but the 2 who are here that I'm familiar with are Warren Bratcher. You all know Warren Bratcher down there on Central Street, who have that popular spot where he sells food, drinks, and clothes and the likes. Bratcher Center of Attraction. That is her son. And of course, we know of, I know him as David Paul. He is the president of one of those taxi associations down there in St. Kitts. Well, Flames. Those of you who are familiar with that nickname, Flames, that's him. That's one of Gwenny's sons as well. Of course, she has other children over there in England, and I'm sure they'll be coming down for the funeral in due course. But I want to express my sympathies to the entire family. Gwenny, I knew very well. She relocated back here to Nevis some years ago, and she was a member of the St. James Anglican Church. She was one of those persons who was nicely dressed every Sunday. Not only every Sunday, but wherever you see Gwenny, she was always well dressed and well, sporting some of the most modern attires, So she was full of life and full of energy, and she was a happy-go-lucky type of person. And I just want to say she'll be sadly missed, and we express our sympathies once again to all those who are grieving. And not only those 2 families, but the entire island of Nevis. We have had some persons who have passed in recent times. And indeed, as I've said from time to time, and I'll continue to say, that we go through 3 phases in life. You're born, you live your life, and then the ultimate has to happen, and it's a must. All of us are going to die someday, and that is what we sometimes are fearful of, or sometimes we are not prepared for, but it will come. And that is the reality of things. Yeah. So we just want to ensure that we're lifting all of the families up, and ensure that we're providing that support, along with the support that will come from the Almighty as well. So that being said, let's move on to something a bit more lighter than that, because where there's death, there's also persons who are being born and persons who are still living and enjoying life. And today is the birthday of my good friend there, Mr. Theodore Ted Hopson. Everyone know Ted. Well, I said Theodore, but we know him as Ted. Ted is a renowned person here on the island of Nevis. Of course, many of you would have heard him here on the radio station from time to time, Von Radio and On the Mark. He don't come now, but he's still with us, and I'm sure if he's asked to come here one evening, once he can get here, he will come, because Ted still have a powerful voice out there. When I spoke to him this morning, he said he was at the chop shop. I said, they won't chop you up, Ted. What they'll do some nice things for you, to give you good manicure, pedicure, and a good massage, so that you're happy and you feel relaxed for the rest of today. So Ted went and got his, nice treatment this morning. I want to say Ted is what, 92 years old, believe it or not. Well, I must say there must be some longevity in his family, but Ted is one who is always active, walking from one end of Charlestown to the next. So that is something that we must consider. We must walk some more, because if that is a part of the longevity that Ted has enjoyed, then it means that there's something good in walking. Yeah, but of course we have vehicles these days. We do more driving than walking, but it is important for us to do such thing. So I want to just relate one quick incident, or one quick thing that I recall from way back in those days when I first interacted with Ted. I recall when I was at TDC Rentals, I had an accident. It was not my fault, it was not my doing, but anyway, it was an accident way back in 1991, thereabout, right around the corner down there by Prinderella's. Those of you who are too young, you won't remember there was a Prinderella's restaurant over there in the Catesby area, where the road was, the old road was, before it was realigned, and now you're driving on a newly aligned road that takes you, well, all of the corners were taken out, let's put it that way. But anyway, had that accident, and I believe it was one of those long weekends, a Monday night. Horse race was held on that day, and people went to horse race, a lot of fun and frolicking. So this particular driver came around the corner there at Prinderella's and slammed into the vehicle that I was driving. So when it came to the court proceedings now, Ted was representing that particular driver. And indeed, Ted was the one who was questioning me about the accident, and he was he was bulldog Ted, let's put it that way. He was bullish. Anyway, Ted said to me at the end of it all, well, I stuck to my story because it was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But when Ted felt like he was getting nowhere, Ted said to me, I am putting it to you that you were racing that night and you were the one who caused the accident. And I sat there on that stool that I was sitting on, and I said to Ted, I'm putting it back to you. You were not there, so you can't tell me that. Well, the magistrate at that time, I believe it was Dennis Byron or one of those Byrons. I don't remember what his name was, but God bless his soul. But he said, sir, that's not how we do it here in court. I said, well, I don't know how you do it, but he's not going to tell me what he don't know about. So that was one big joke in court, and now I realize that is how lawyers do it these days as well. They put it to you, and you're expected to just sit there and say, take it. Well, I suppose that is the proceedings that take place in court. But first time I was hearing that, I tell Ted, no, you can't put it to me. I'm putting it back to you, or not there, so you can't tell me what went on. And since then until now, Ted and I have been, good friends. I've met him time and time after that and tell him, I'm putting it to you that the sun is shining up there brightly. Putting it to you that it's raining outside, just as a joke. But then I spend some time on that, because you deserve every minute that we spend, championing your cause, or praising you, giving you those flowers while you're living, because you have done a marvelous job here on the island of Nevis in terms of the politics, in terms of the profession that you would have chosen years ago, which is being a lawyer of good standing, and a lawyer who would have had plenty of results here on the island, good results that is. And indeed, right now down in Charlestown, your name is emblazoned upon the courthouse down there, Theodore Hopson building, that is the courthouse, and you deserve every bit of accolades and commendation that you get from time to time, because you would have been one of the the champions of Nevis in terms of building this island in every facet, and I do wish you many more years of good health and strength here on the island of Nevis, because the longer you stay around, the more we can lean on you and get some of the knowledge that you have imparted to especially our young people. So enjoy the rest of the day, Ted. I spent a few minutes on that. When you were at your 90th birthday, I recall doing a video clip that I sent off to you right up there in Antigua. You were celebrating. This time you're here, so I'm using the microphones here at Von Radio to give you my best wishes as well. So that being said, enjoy. Let's move right along. Of course, I was not here last week, so I was unable to bring you some of the stats that I normally bring at the end of each month. And when I say some of the stats, I normally would dig into the stats that are given to me by the persons at NASPA. I normally call up because these are figures that are important not only to myself but also the entire traveling public and the whole of Nevis, I will say, because these numbers speak volume as to an investment that was made in the island of Nevis and in the people of Nevis that has now proven to be a significant investment, one that continues to be one of those revenue generating projects here on the island of Nevis. So I speak of the Uwali Water Taxi Facility, and of course it continues to grow in terms of movements and in terms of importance and significance to the island of Nevis and to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. This has made travel between the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis much easier, much more convenient, and it is being used to the advantage or person's advantage in terms of finding work on St. Kitts. And by the same token, people on St. Kitts come over and find work here on the island of Nevis. People go to St. Kitts for fun and frolic, and of course, by the same token, people come to Nevis for fun and frolic as well. And that is the nature of this particular business. Well, let's put it this way. Based on the numbers that we had at the end of September, I will go back and say, based on what we would have tallied up to the end of August, we had 164,730 persons who would have departed and arrived at the Uwali Water Taxi Facility. 164,730 persons. That is significant by any stretch of the imagination. Now, added to that are the numbers for September 2023. Arriving, we had a total of 8,793 persons. And departing, we had a total of 8,988 persons. Put together, that was a global figure of 17,781 persons would have arrived or departed there at the Uwali Water Taxi Facility. And then added to what we would have accumulated up to the end of August, you're looking at a grand total of 182,511 persons. Very significant numbers, I will say. And indeed, there's a reason why we are keeping this tally, because I said from the onset a few months ago that we are hoping to get to at least 250,000 persons by the end of December. We may very well surpass that, but at least 250,000 persons would significantly, well, it will signify, that at least 250,000 persons would have traversed the waters of St. Kitts and Nevis between Uwali and Reggae Beach or Park Hyatt, or beyond for that matter anyway, because boats go down to the Deepwater Harbor or the main facility down there in Basseterre. So to date, 182,511 persons, and that is by the end of September of 2023. Just by comparison though, last year September arrivals, we had 5,554 persons. That's last year September. This year 2023, I just said 8,793 persons, an increase of 3,239 persons would have arrived. So it means that the facility has grown to the extent where persons know of it, persons are using it. In terms of departure, similar numbers, 5,622 persons would have departed last year, September 2022, and 2023, September, 8,988 persons, which shows that there was an increase of 3,366 persons. So we are continuing to see the increased usage of the facility. We want to encourage our nationals to continue to use the facility. It is the quickest means of getting to and from St. Kitts. And over the years, you've heard of a bridge between St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, the water taxi bridge is providing the services that are needed, and it's doing a marvelous job in ensuring that we have that connectivity. And indeed, many may say that the facility is not completed as yet. Yes, it is not completed, but of course it is playing the role that we expect it to play at this point in time. The bathroom facility is there. There is a waiting area. Of course, when it rains, we see all these videos surface on Facebook and other platforms. But of course, that's the nature of the technology is with us, and that is the nature of the beast, so to speak. So we expect that to be the case, but I will say to you that work has advanced nicely there at the main facility that is being renovated to accommodate passengers who are waiting, passengers who will be departing, not so much those who will be arriving, because arriving passengers will be coming and making their exit and head home or head to their various destinations. But for those who would have to wait for a few minutes for a boat to move out of Ouali, then of course the facility is being worked on. It has been painted inside and outside. There are some work to be done in terms of the bathroom facilities on the interior, and indeed the seating, seats and seating will be on their way to us shortly, I'm sure, so that at least persons will be able to sit there comfortably and the like. So all that is being done on the interior, and if you don't see anyone doing anything there, it doesn't mean that nothing is happening. Something is going on there, because on the interior persons are working. So then we continue to speak glowingly about the Ouali water taxi facility, because of course we understand that there is a significant amount of money being made all over there by everyone who have anything to do with that facility, whether it's NASPA, whether it's the boat operators, whether it is vendors, or whether there are vendors there who make money, or employees who work for the various entities that operate out of there. Customs does make some money, because parts and other things need to be ordered and imported for those boats. Fuel suppliers make money. Restaurant and bars here on Nevis make money, because if there are an influx of persons from St. Kitts, restaurant and bars make money. Hotels, guest houses here on Nevis and also on St. Kitts, because once persons go over to St. Kitts for any activity and have to stay over there, they have to stay somewhere. And indeed, when there are major activities on the island of Nevis, whether it is a glow fete of any sort, wet fete, I don't know what they normally have, all kind of things are held here on Nevis, then persons from St. Kitts would come over and have fun. When they have events on St. Kitts, whatever those major events are, and shows, cricket, whatever it is, persons go over, and of course the businesses over there benefit as well. So there are some significant benefits to be derived from this facility, and it continues to play the role that it should play. And I just want to segue quickly into this whole idea of a bridge, a physical bridge. Of course, there are those who see advantage in it, so some who see disadvantages, and there will always be a debate. It has been ongoing now for nigh 40 years and more. I am telling you that has been a debate for a long time, and it will continue to be a debate. But of course, I am always one who believes that what can work at this point in time, let us put it to work. $400+ million to build a bridge. I want to say, whoever think that is the way to go ahead and do it. Go ahead and be a proponent of it. But I will say to you that this facility cost us just about $5.6 million to purchase, and also to build the pier, to build bathroom, to fence it and everything. We saw a global cost of just about $5.6 million. And then, of course, the additional work that is being done on the building next to the pier there. From last I checked, when we did the estimates and we rolled out that project, it was somewhere around $640,000 thereabout. So we're well within the region of where we started in terms of saying that it is a $6 million project. I believe we're just about $6 million thereabout, but there will be a slight cost above the $6 million, I'm sure, depending on what else need to be done there. But indeed, we came in very well on that particular project to date. So $400+ million, whether St. Kitts Nevis can sustain that would always be a debate. But also you have to look at the downside of it too, because I see many persons running over to St. Kitts, and many businesses over there might be flourishing, and those in Nevis may not even count a penny. But anyway, that is another debate. Like I said, I don't want to open it up because we can be here for at least 2 hours or more debating that particular move, if it is to be contemplated, if it ever comes to fruition, what the repercussions, what the benefits are, what can become of it. I say what is working right now, this water taxi facility is playing a huge role in ensuring that our people are moving from Nevis to St. Kitts, and by the same token from St. Kitts to Nevis. So I applaud the Nevis Island administration and all those who are responsible for making such decision to build such facility and procure additional lands in the area so that we can have parking off of the island main road and in a parking area. That particular area is still to be upgraded and built up to the point where it is safe and secured, and some revenue is generated there as well too. So there are other things to be done. So I leave it as that for now. But those numbers, 182,000 people touching that pier over there, is a significant amount of persons, and it keeps growing, and it will grow some more. And I'll talk some more about it and continue talking, because the more I talk, it seems as though the more agitated persons become. I don't know why, but we must applaud success here on the island of Nevis. The same way we can be negative about certain situations and tear down as we go along, we must be able to applaud success, whether it's success of a project, success of our people, success on the island. We need to promote that and not so much concentrate on the negative. Speaking of success, let me say that this past Monday, the 9th of October, we were privileged to be invited to the Taiwanese National Day celebrations down there at the Marriott Resort, and there were persons from the Nevis Island Administration, the NIA, and also from the federal cabinet. You had dignitaries, diplomats, and invited guests. It was a lovely event, and I was privileged to be there. And why I bring it up is because there are a few things that happened there that I believe are of significance to the island of Nevis. But let me congratulate the government and people of the Republic of China on Taiwan for celebrating their 112th anniversary of their National Day. And indeed, Taiwan would have had a relationship with us since 1983, 40 years ago. So they celebrated their 112th National Day celebration, and they also celebrated our 40th anniversary and that significant diplomatic tie that we have been fostering since 1983, sorry, where am I going with 2000? 1983. And they have been one of our greatest partners, one of the countries that we have forged significant ties and a good relationship as well. And over the years, we have benefited significantly from training, whether in healthcare, whether through scholarships to our students or young people, whether it's through agriculture, meaning training in agriculture, the introduction of new techniques here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and indeed on many other areas in sustainable, in energy and also sustainability in other areas in our development, whether it's in the environment, for example. So there are many areas that they have certainly lent their support in a significant way. And of course, them being here would have also benefited from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, because in the international community, our Minister of Foreign Affairs over the years, including our most recent pass, the Honourable Mark Brantley, would have done a significant job, a wonderful job in ensuring that the voice of the Taiwanese people are heard at the United Nations, at various diplomatic gatherings throughout the world. And of course, we have our current Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honourable Denzel Douglas. Of course, he indeed would have done a remarkable job when he was the Prime Minister, and now continuing that particular journey as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and those who would have been there before as well. I want to commend all of them for sticking with Taiwan and ensuring that their voice is heard through us as their partner here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So they've done a remarkable job in ensuring that we realize some benefits in terms of the technical support and the transfer of knowledge to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I want to say at this point in time that one of the most recent initiatives that I find is paying dividends is the introduction of Mandarin here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, but more so on the island of Nevis in our secondary schools. I believe it was introduced to students 12 to 14 years, and then persons who are not in school, older persons, would have come on board as well to learn the language. And the reason why I bring this up is because I was so much inspired and so proud of some of our students who would have performed at this particular gathering on Monday night. At least it is certainly worth mentioning that there are three persons' names who I would want to recognize as well. There is a lady by the name of, young lady by the name of Jada John, who would have won the Taiwanese ICDF. That's ICDF, for those who are wondering what ICDF stands for. It is the International Cooperation and Development Fund. That is an arm of the Taiwanese government. It is similar to OPIC and other agencies that are attached to various countries throughout the world. So this is the ICDF, the International Cooperation and Development Fund. They had a competition, a Mandarin speech competition among 9 nations. And you know what? Jada John was the winner of that competition. And I can't recall what all of the nations were, but 9 nations. So it therefore means Little Nevis competing with all other, and when it's a 9 nation, I have to think of the countries that the Republic of China, Taiwan, is affiliated or have diplomatic ties with. And for Jada John to succeed and become #1, then it therefore means that she need huge applause for that. And this is actually bringing to the fore someone with a talent that was there all the time, of course, but through this initiative of introducing Mandarin in our schools and to persons here on the island of Nevis, well, Jada John has shone, of course, and she have come to the fore, and I want to commend her and commend everyone else who have succeeded at this particular level. And indeed, there were songs rendered there, a song rendered there by I believe it was Ajani Hodge and Anessa Monroe. I think I have those correctly. Anessa Monroe and a Journey Hodge. I hope I'm getting these things correctly, these names, because young people's names are difficult to call. My name is Alexis. The older persons whose name are Peter and John and Mark and so forth, those are easy to call. But these days, you have persons combining 2 names, maybe a father's name with a mother's name, and then you come up with a name that way. And that is how it's done in modern times. But we can't knock that because that is their preference. But Journey Hodge and Anessa Monroe, hopefully I have your names correctly. I want to commend you as well for your mesmerizing performance down there at the Marriott Resort. And I was proud, and all of us as Nivision sitting there were proud, because this is the first ever effort in this regard here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And one must commend the Honourable Mark Brantley and his cabinet for, coming up with this particular initiative. And of course, the Republic of China, Taiwan, through their embassy here in St. Kitts and Nevis for facilitating by having a teacher being brought here to the Federation back in October, I believe, of 2021. I might have my month incorrect, but I believe it was in 2021 when she came, or 2020, sorry, 2020, because I recall it was during the COVID-19, that pandemic, when she arrived in the Federation and had to be quarantined and the like. So it was 2020 was that year when she came, and in a short 3 years thereabout, we have persons here on the island of Nevis who are fluent, very fluent in Mandarin, and we want to commend all those who have taken up this particular task and saying to us that they are ready to go out in the world to use their skills. Because you know what? Persons who have this particular language, or who are fluent and who have commanded this particular language, Mandarin, they can be interpreters, get paid for it too, it's not free. They can be interpreters, they can go to embassies throughout Asia, and of course be fluent enough to communicate with those persons there. So I want to commend everyone, and I think that is just a wonderful story. And that is why I said from the onset, we have to at least accentuate the positive, think about the positive, and sometimes the negatives. You want to leave that aside, because no one benefits per se from negatives. There are some negatives that you can draw some positive, I'm sure, but these days what you're hearing as negatives here on the island of Nevis, there's nothing embellishing about it, nothing at all to get out of it, other than to spew things that are just downright lies and negativity that are not done to the benefit of anyone, not to the island of Nevis, of course, but stories like these are those that brings out the best of our people and brings out the best of this island. So Nevis is nice and naturally nice as well. And I just want to touch on something here quickly, because a few weeks ago, Nevis was voted as the sixth, among the top 6, among the top 20, or whatever you want to call it. We were slotted in at number 6 as the top destination in the Caribbean by Condé Nast travelers. You won't hear these things too often, and you won't hear them being pushed by those who have an agenda just to push the negatives. So what we have to do when we get a chance as Nivisians who are seeking to push the island to another level, so that we can ensure that we are leaving legacies behind for our young men and young women who are coming behind us to grab that and run as well with, we have to continue to accentuate the positive and spread good news about the island of Nevis. So Condé Nast, which is one of those world-renowned magazines who go around and taste the food and look at what is happening on the island and be a part of the ambience and take the tours and read up on the island and see what is being done here, look at the infrastructure and everything. They go around and rate countries and islands as to where they stand in terms of the global community, or let's say for this time around in the Caribbean space, as to what they're doing in terms of enhancing their tourism product. So before I go on, let me commend first of all those who are in the tourism sector, all those at the NTA, that is the Nevis Tourism Authority, all those at the Ministry of Tourism as well, all those who work within these ministries and bodies, statutory body, and all those of us who on the street interact with some of our visitors and give them a taste of Nevis in terms of ensuring that, as the old people say, we are manageable. We go out there and we carry our country on our chest, in our chest, on our sleeves, in our heart. All about us is about Nevis. And that is why I say all of us all of us deserve commendation, because all of us are responsible for ensuring that Nevis find itself at the top of all of these islands in the Caribbean. And I believe there were 20 islands and countries that were rated 20, and I can name them, because you all would hear more about Nevis going forward, because this particular rating of 6th, we should be working now to figure out what else we need to do to get it to number 1, because Nevis can be number 1 any day in the Caribbean. We can punch above our weight in this island any day, because I have always said we're as good as any and better than many, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So Condolences would have come up with this rating, and they said Nevis is 6th among 20 Caribbean countries and islands. So we have at number 1, they said it's Bermuda, then St. Bart's, Anguilla. 4th would be St. Lucia, Turks and Caicos 5th. 6th, Nevis. Behind Nevis, you have Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Barbados, Cayman Islands, the British Virgin Islands, Aruba, Antigua, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Dominica, St. Kitts, Curacao, Grenada, Bahamas, and Bonaire. Well, St. Kitts came in, 16th? Well, this is not knocking St. Kitts, but this is what Condolences is saying. And indeed, there are other areas where Nevis would have placed first. I believe Four Seasons. I heard a news item right here on Von Radio earlier today regarding Forbes magazine voting Four Seasons as the number 1 hotel in the Caribbean for I believe it was for wedding or something. I can't recall. All I know, Four Seasons was named as number 1, and Four Seasons continue to be the number 1 resort in the Federation as well too. So we have some number 1s. We have some number 2s, we have some number 3s and 4th and 6th, but we are there among the pack in the Caribbean. And what this does to the product, it really enhances the product of Nevis, that is. Let's look at it this way. A family is sitting at their dinner table or the breakfast table in the United States or in Europe, come across these news items, or come across these items in Forbes magazine, in Condolences, or Leisure magazine, or some kind of magazine, then that piques their interest. So Nevis is number 6. Well, we've been to Bahamas, we've been to St. Bart's, we've been to Anguilla perhaps, we've been to St. Lucia, we've been to Turks and Caicos. Well, Nevis is number 6. Nevis become number 1 right there and then. Nevis will become number 1 because the husband will say, sweetheart, let's go down to Nevis. Let's take up the family. Let's go down to Nevis and see what is happening on Nevis. They come down to Nevis, have a whale of a time. Everything is just exactly what they expected it to be. And then, you know what? They'll come back next time, and they'll come back again. So they go to Four Seasons, they go to Montpelier, they go to this Paradise Beach resort, they go to Mount Nevis, they go to Golden Rock, they go to any hotel here on the island of Nevis, and they'll have a wonderful time. And that is the kind of story that is a good feeling for me, and it has to be a feel-good story for the people of Nevis, that all of us, including those who promote the island, have been doing a marvelous job in ensuring that our product continues to be authentic, and our product continues to be one that is sought after. And we must be proud of ourselves as Nevisians. One of the Nevisians who must be proud as well is Sunshine. What is Sunshine's name again? Keynes. I forget his first name. Lowland Keynes? Lowland Keynes? Yeah. Lowland Keynes, yes. Well, I know him as Sunshine all the days of my life. My relationship with Sunshine go all the way back to TDC. Sunshine, I'm going to tell a little story about you because I love you bad. I remember back in the days when Sunshine started on the beach, he had a refrigerator that he was paying TDC for that refrigerator. And things were hard and Sunshine was falling behind. I was told to go and take up the fridge, repossess the fridge from Sunshine. I met Sunshine and tell him, listen, I don't want to repossess it. Give me a little $10, let me carry it in. And let them give me a receipt and I'll bring it back to you. Just pay whatever you can. And we prolonged it to the point where Sunshine was able to pay off for that fridge. And every time I go down there, remind me about that refrigerator, and he was able to keep it for almost 20 years. If I lie, ask Sunshine when you go down there again. I know why I bring it up, because Sunshine is an ambassador. That's someone who you saw starting out and really was trying his best to get something started way back then. And he's still there now, and he is now being recognized as, by some magazine. I recognized by or TripAdvisors, as the 2023 Traveler's Choice Award. He was the winner of that award as a top worldwide restaurant. That's his sunshine for you right here in Nevis. They didn't say he's from Antigua. They didn't say he was from Bermuda. Right here in Nevis. TripAdvisors is saying that Sunshine's restaurant, beach bar and grill is the top restaurant, worldwide restaurant that is, and it's right down there on Penny's Beach, right here among us. So there's some good stories out there, feel good stories. And you know what? When these things hit the airwaves, people get on a plane, come to Nevis. Where do you think they're going? Are going down Sunshines. Let's see what this place is about. And when they go down there, they'll see all these flags from all over the world. They'll see flags from all different universities throughout the United States, for example. Flags from Europe. So it means then, Sunshine is suggesting to them, this is the United Nations of restaurants. Sometimes things come to your head and you just talk. So Sunshine have a United Nation of restaurants right down there on the beach because they have a flag from almost every country and every island. And that is so welcoming, and that is why people keep going to Sunshines and giving him the praises. Sunshine, from myself to you, I want to congratulate you for your years of working at your trade, honing your craft, and making sure that your culinary skills are felt by everyone who visit your place. And you have improved over the years, and I want to wish you many more years of success and many more years of accolades and awards, because even though you've been there for a long time, based on what I'm seeing, you have many more years to go with God's help, and I want to wish you well. And I want to wish all of the other restaurants down there on the beach as well every success, because today is Sunshine's day to shine, and tomorrow it might be Randy's, or the next day might be Weekends, or some other restaurant down there. So all of you have a role to play, and you are ambassadors for Nevis, because when people come to partake of our culinary stuff around here, they're getting a taste of Nevis, and it's through your hands and through your work they get that taste, and that is what they take away from the island of Nevis. So I want to commend all of you down there as well. So very good job for all those who continue to press on in the area of tourism, and indeed all of us have a role to play to ensure that Nevis continue to shine. You know, I usually have the the saying that I would want to just leave here with respect to those accolades and the good things that are happening, because in life you have some people who make things happen. In life you have people who make things happen. There are those who just sit and watch things happen. And those who sit and watch things happen, those are the ones who normally come up with the negatives, because all they talk about is negative, they don't join the chorus of those and join the actions of those who make things happen. So there are those who watch things happen and those who wonder what happened. And those are the ones who keep talking negative, talking nothing good, just negatives. And when the good things happen and they look around and they see that the country or the island has gone way past them and gone beyond them, they wonder what happened. Instead of trying to make things happen from the get-go. There are opportunities here on the island of Nevis. I said already, even if it's to sell some bags of nuts, sell some oil, sell something. There are people coming to the island, find something to sell to them, get a couple of US dollars off of them. There are people who come to Nevis from time to time, do something. But the ingredient that is needed to get out there and get something done is hard work. Everything have hard work attached to it. Nothing comes easy. The easiest thing for someone to do is to sit behind a microphone and come up with all of the negatives. They see everything that is wrong. Ask them what you'll do to correct it. Ask them what they'll do to fix it. Ask them what is their prescription to have a turnaround of anything, and they don't have it. They'll never provide it, because you know what? They don't have the capacity to do so. Their capacity is to bring the negatives, and that is all that they do. But anyway, let me move on, because that was just an aside. So be a part of the group of those persons who make things happen here on the island of Nevis. Don't, as young people coming up, never find yourself in the group of those who sit and watch things happen. And do not let it ever be said, and it's found out of you, that you are a part of the group that wonder what is happening around here. When you sit and wonder, time is passing by and you get nowhere fast. So I'm saying to everyone out there who have the strength and the energy to make things happen, go and make it happen. I believe we'll have an exciting new tourist season coming up here shortly. I believe so. Based on what I'm seeing, we have advanced in the hurricane season, and thus far we've been blessed by the hands of the Almighty. He has directed those storms away from the island of Nevis and from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and send them elsewhere. Some of them have gone out into the wider Atlantic Ocean, and that's where they should go. At all times, that's where they should go. But we have been fortunate thus far, and we continue to pray and hope that we'll be spared between now and the end of this year, or the end of the hurricane season. And I believe God will continue to smile on us. So that being the case, I believe, based on the work that is being done throughout the island of Nevis to improve the infrastructure, roads are being resurfaced, bridges are being painted, Samuel Hunkins Drive is being upgraded to ensure that the safety of our roads remain intact. So there are a lot of things being done to ensure that we have, safe, passable and drivable infrastructure. And speaking of painting of bridges, I just recall that we did a project there in St. James, starting in New River all the way down to Jones Estate. Once you drive through the constituency of St. James, you'll see some lovely looking bridges painted yellow and white in some cases. Those were enhanced in recent weeks, and I want to thank Honourable Alexis Jeffers and also Damian Hicks. Those were the guys who went around, painted all of those bridges and bollards, especially up there in the Potworks area. They are painted so as to enhance the aesthetics, yes, but they're also done for safety, so that when you're driving at night and your headlights or headlamps hit those bridges, then you can see them highlighted for you to see. There is an obstruction there, so stay away. We had an accident over there at the end of Kettlelang Part the other night. I believe it was last Friday night. Unfortunate as it is, but perhaps that bridge would have played a part in ensuring that that person didn't sustain any more serious injuries as well too. Hopefully they're fine and they'll get better soon. So as I was saying, all that is being done is to improve the infrastructure, so when we're ready to welcome the world shortly, and the world is going to come and come in their numbers, when they come and they drive around Nevis, they move from point A to point B or go around the island, they would then leave the island of Nevis with nothing more than wonderful thoughts and good words about the island of Nevis. And that's what we continue to do as a government, so improve the infrastructure. We have had some issues with water. That is no longer there. We'll ensure, and I want to speak on behalf of the Premier and the Cabinet of the Nevis Island Administration, that by next year we should see an improvement in that regard, because of course there will be efforts made to ensure that we have additional wells being dug and additional water being put into the system, because what we had this year was one of those years when the water situation was much more difficult than in the past, because we had a prolonged drought here on the island of Nevis, not only on the island but throughout the eastern Caribbean and the southern part of the Caribbean as well too. Everyone was crying out for the prolonged drought and harsh conditions that we would have had to endure over the last couple of months. That being said, we've been fortunate in recent times where we've had some rain, and that has certainly brought about some ease in the difficulties, and hopefully that will be the case moving forward. But we have to come up with solutions moving forward, and I believe the Nevis Island Administration through its cabinet is working diligently to ensure that we have additional wells being dug shortly to provide additional water. I also want to say that, it's closing. Why did I wait this late to bring this up? But earlier in the week or sometime last week, I would have posted that we had our consultants here on the island of Nevis, the consultants with whom we are working in terms of putting together this airport expansion project. And indeed, we have had conversations over the years since 2015. These consultants have worked with the authorities down there in St. Vincent when they would have built the Argyle Airport. We were able to find them. We were able to interact with them way back in 2015. But over the years, we've had some stop and starts in that. Of course, in 2020 and up to 2022, January thereabout, we had no movement on this project. Nothing was done per se in terms of advancing it to the point where we can say we're ready to have a conversation with the general public. But of course, over the years, we've looked at options, and we'll be engaging the public shortly. And I want to say to the Division public, a lot of things are being said, and I believe the Premier was very clear when he said that once we have something to present to the public, we will engage the public. Indeed, if it is that we are not where we want to be to engage the public as yet, I believe the public would have to understand that we'll get there, and we'll get it there shortly. I believe some sort of rendering of the project to see what it's like and what is envisaged over there will be available to us, and the consultants are going to be working shortly to get all that together, and once that is done, we're going to present to the public. But what is contemplated, let me say, we're hoping to achieve just about 5,500 feet of runway. We'll be strengthening the surface of, well, as a matter of fact, let me say the entire runway surface will be torn up and repaved, because of course you'll have heavier aircraft coming into Van Samer International Airport, larger aircraft of course, and indeed what we have there is certainly substandard at this point in time. The lighting will be improved, modern lighting for the airport strip, and indeed there'll be additional parking. What is existing there in front of the terminal, that is on the north side of the terminal, that of course is certainly inadequate. That will be torn up and resurfaced, and then additional parking will be made available for additional jets that are going to come in, larger jets as well. Then there'll be a hangar that will be constructed as well. Then of course the fuel farm that exists there is certainly inadequate. We'll have a larger and more improved fuel farm facility to supply fuel to the aircraft that will come and depart Van Samer International Airport. Of course, that is where a lot of money is made through the sale of fuel as well. So all that will be a part of the project. There'll be some work that will be done on the terminal to improve it, enhance it, and make it accessible, and make it, or put it in such a way that airlines will be satisfied with what they are coming to. Plus also there'll be the construction of a brand new fire terminal, a fire hall, because what we have there have been abandoned, so to speak, and of course additional fire equipment, that is trucks for example. There'll be a realignment of the island's main road as it stands. The existing main road will be moved further south, and then of course that will be presented when we have those consultations. And I'm just going through a list of some of the things that we are contemplating on doing over there at the Van Samer International Airport. But it will be a new and improved facility. Right now as it is, no airlines are going to come to Van Samer International Airport. Any airlines of significance, that is. Yes, KPA comes, a small airline, a small aircraft, but in terms of larger aircrafts, they won't come because we don't have the facility for that. And that is what we're trying to do, is to improve the facility to ensure that persons coming from Europe, from the United States, from South America, from different parts of the Caribbean, will be able to get to our shores without going to point B or point C. If they leave from point A, let me back up and say, if they're leaving point A to come to point B, which is Nevis, that's what we want them to do. As many of them as possible. But no need to have our people going from point A to point C to point D to get to point B. We want to get that direct linkage to the United States, a direct linkage to Europe, and if beyond, if possible. So, that being said, there are exciting things afoot, and the Nevis Island administration is pressing on with this project, and we'll hear more about it as time goes by. But the time is coming soon when we'll be headed out there into the wider Nevision public to give you an idea as to what is going to happen at the Van Samre International Airport. Now, All Food Day is Monday the 16th of October, but next Friday will be a huge event down there at the Villa grounds, which is dubbed World Food Day Agri-Fest. I just thought that I'll put that in. As the former Minister of Agriculture, I just recall that is the case. So go on out and enjoy that next Friday, and indeed listen up for that address by the Minister of Agriculture, the Honourable Eric Evelyn, come Monday morning. That being said, that is my time. I think I went over a minute or two, but the folks here have been generous. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening as well. It is always my pleasure coming here and being in your company on a Friday afternoon. And as I always say when I'm done talking here for an hour, I'm hungry, so I'm going to go and get something to eat. And indeed, I want to wish everyone a safe and wonderful weekend. Go out and enjoy yourself, yes, but be safe about it. And indeed, we want you to be around to continue with the progress and the development of the island of Nevis. So take care of yourself. Have a wonderful afternoon. Have a wonderful weekend. It was my pleasure. God bless you, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program was